One of the most important skills you'll ever build is the ability to learn. On-the-job learning is one of the fastest and easiest and cheapest ways to learn. I'm going to give you tips on why learning on the job is important, how you can tap into that learning on the job, and what some action items are that each of you can follow. And then I'm going to give you 12 ways to find the time to learn on the job. So why is learning on the job important? First of all, it keeps you adaptable. In a changing market, in a changing business landscape, keeping your skills sharp could be the difference between staying employed or being on the unemployment line. But more than that, you actually want to grow your skills, advance your career, get more salary. And learning on the job is an important part of that. It does a couple of things. One is, of course, you do build skills. On the job means you learn appropriate skills, skills your company wants you to learn. And very importantly, it shows your boss and your company you want to be a lifelong learner. If you follow my planning, your company won't just think of you as a lifelong learner. They'll think of you as a prospective, promotable employee or ready for the next managerial position. Job satisfaction. It makes your life funner to learn new, high-value, interesting stuff. Lifelong learning and learning on the job can do that for you. And one of the things you can learn on the job is business savvy. I started in a job where I was just learning to do the tasks. But once I broadened my horizon to start understanding what the business does, how they make money, what the industry was like, how marketing happened in that industry, what the customers were and what they wanted, all of that changed the game, and I was able to climb through the ranks way above my original pay grade to become a director of that company. That's what on-the-job learning can do for you. And a public service announcement, if you're actually an employer, employees stay longer when they get training. In fact, 94% increase in retention rates, according to a recent LinkedIn survey. And that means you don't have to retrain, rehire, and replace people who are leaving because you're not training them. And trained employees are also more valuable to you, the company. So let's talk about some ways to learn on the job. The first one is master the basics of the role you're in, the role you already have. If you haven't done that yet, that's job one. Making sure you understand all of the processes, policies, technology, and roles related to your job are really important. If you're just doing data entry and typing in madly data and not understanding where is it going, what's the quality level, how can you check that you're doing it right, you're not maximizing the skills fundamentally required for your job. If you want to have a raise next year, I suggest you fix that first. Let me talk about the action plan to do that. First of all, you need to identify the core skills you need. That should be in the job description, but you might want to check with your manager to make sure you understand the key roles of the job. And if not your manager, you might have a supervisor or a lead that you can ask as well. Ask questions. You want to ask a question before doing the wrong thing if you can. Everybody makes mistakes, and if you learn from them, they can be very valuable. But if you don't have to, don't. Ask the questions to make sure you know. Of course, you don't want to be a burden to people by asking constant questions, so do so in a productive, logical way. Maybe take time out of your day to say, I've got a few questions from my process. Can I just go through those with you? Especially if you're in your initial days of your job, that's a totally legit question to ask. Check the skills you have. This is something that you can actually do first for yourself, a self-assessment. And second of all, have someone validated who works with you, is your supervisor or your manager. In my blog, I have a free downloadable Excel that helps you kind of go through all of the skills you might need on the job, and it will give you a scatter diagram, and then you can map those against the ones you need for your job and also against yourself later on. Do it again in 6 months and see what's changed. That can be a lot of fun and very motivating. Embrace your current situation. This is about going above and beyond your current job. This is important if you want to get a promotion or see yourself staying at the company long-term and you want to move into management, for instance. Here's your action items for this section. Let's just take an example. You're a customer service. You're working with marketing, ordering, and shipping. In that situation, who are the customers? What are they asking? And what are the roles doing to achieve that ask? So they might ask for an order, the order group sends to shipping, ships it, and you're in customer service and get a phone call. How do you understand how you relate to all of those different roles to solve that customer's problem? Now, maybe that's already written down, and maybe there is already workflow, in which case, use it. But if there isn't, make one. Put it up on your board. It will show people that not only you've taken the time to understand the process, but you've taken the time to document it, which can actually add value to the entire department, showing your natural leadership capabilities, an important aspect of any person's future promotion to management. Ask your supervisor about available online learning. Once you're there for a while and you've mastered your basic skills, the company should have the investment in you to continue learning on the job. And lastly, and I've already talked about this a little bit, build your leadership skills. Look for the skills that matter to your manager and try to make your manager's life easier by stepping up. And now you've mastered your skills, you've embraced your situation. What do you do next? You explore the roles around you. You do this by building your internal network. Again, this can be really important when raises or promotions come up, because the more people that know you, think well of you, and find that you are valuable to the organization, the more people you're going to have in your corner to say, this is the right person for the job. A little bit of a word of caution, and again, you'll find this list in my blog. If you go asking people about their job, they're going to think either you're trying to judge them or you're trying to take their job, both which might be true, but that's not how you should approach things. Do explain that you're interested in understanding things, maybe that you want to make that process flow we talked about. Show appreciation when you ask questions and people are offering information. Often people like to talk about their jobs and what they do. Be sure to keep that information that is confidential, so that you're not actually creating problems for yourself within the company. So your action plan for this section, connect with others. This is important. You're getting information from others. You're reaching out and broadening your network, you're broadening your knowledge base. Request information in interviews. Ask to have lunch with your boss's boss or another department head or a colleague who's the same level as you. Share information openly. If you're going to ask questions, be ready to offer something. And do so in an organized way to show you've actually thought it through. Engage in cross-training. So I gave you that example of a marketing department, shipping, sales, and customer service. You might want to have a cross-purpose conversation to find out, is the process flow maximized? Is there a better way things can be improved? If you can improve something, do that. Learn about your company's product and the business model. How does your company make money? What do they sell? Who do they sell it to? These are the keys of any business. They are extremely fundamental. You'd be surprised how many people work for a company that do not know this. Learning how your company or industry and competition work is important. It's important if you want to rise through management, as I mentioned, but it's also important for you to understand, is this a business worth staying in? One of the things that's changing in our technology-driven world is the kinds of jobs that are going to last and the kinds of jobs that are going to fade away. And if you're interested in that, I've got a blog and a video all about how to make sure you're maximizing your salary and your career potential in the right industry. And I'll put links to that here and in links below. So how to make time to learn on the job. This is something my mentees ask me a lot. I've got 12 options for you. You might have other options for yourself. I'd like you to think of this as a list you can pull from. Just like the earlier list, you need to customize it for your own needs, ambitions, and situation you're in today. Schedule learning time, actually putting something in your agenda to say, for this hour, I'm going to be learning. Letting your manager know that is important, of course, and your teammates if they need to know, but you could also make that lunchtime. Adopt improved tools. Where you can, use tools to automate, so that gives you back time, so you can also counter by saying, I've made this process more efficient, and now I have time to learn more about tools, operations, whatever. Prioritize learning opportunities. If you get the chance to go to anything related to learning, go. Even if you think this isn't really part of my job right now, you never know. It could be preparing you for your next job. Promote informal learning. Anytime you ask a question, if you document it in a way that's helpful to you in the long run, it is a learning moment. Use your downtime effectively. If you have 15 minutes between tasks, learn something. Go into YouTube and find out something about your industry, your job. Read a Harvard Business Review article. You don't have to learn in huge blocks of 2 or 3 hours. You can do something in 15 minutes. I would create a notebook for my learning that not only tracks what learning I want to do, but also what learning points I have made. So I can keep track of that learning. I can remember it. Changing your mindset. Seeing learning as something that's happening all the time, everywhere, is a mindset change. Focusing on the outcome of things, not the process of things, can help you innovate how they work. You can volunteer to create training. I've done this in organizations, and by doing that, you're making training your job. So you're creating training for others, and by doing that, you are, in fact, also training yourself. You might also want to join a professional organization, organizations that can help you learn about topics you care about that are part of your job your industry, or something else. This kind of lifelong learning can also build your network along with your skills. While that may not be on-the-job learning, it might be job adjacent because a lot of companies support one or more of these kinds of organizations. Sometimes your company will even pay for them. Finding a mentor and talking to your manager are great ways to make sure you're learning the right things and that you can create a learning plan that makes sense for your job today and where your company wants to see you in the future. Lastly, you might just go to school. In a lot of situations, companies can pay employees to go get a certification, get a degree. They sometimes ask you to stay on for a certain number of years in order to get the value of that training back from you. I hope you found this information helpful. If you did, consider giving the channel a like and a thumbs up. For those people who would like more information, I've got a blog, the link's below, and it's got all the details plus that downloadable card on 12 ways to start learning on the job today. And I hope to see you next time on ProjectSkillsMentor.com. Bye-bye, everybody.